the second piece. And the third piece is the people that are actually converting into leads are not becoming customers. So then you might have unqualified contacts in your system, and they're just not, there should have never been, you know what I mean? You should have never attracted that traffic. They should have never converted because your salespeople are frustrated that they're not getting any good meetings. So we fix the funnel like in 3 different ways. Number 1 being, hey, how do we attract the best people to your website? Or
welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad to have you here today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Solomon. Solomon, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Super excited.
Nice. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
So I'm a marketing consultant. I started a marketing agency literally like the day after I graduated college. So my vision is to help basically entrepreneurs never struggle on the number of leads that they have or the number of clients that they're trying to onboard. Everything really comes down to a marketing equation. And so we have an entire team that supports me here to solve for people's lead generation and customer acquisition problems.
I love it. What made you decide to get into marketing, as you think? Because it's rather impressive that you just started right off the bat with the tech company.
Yeah. So when I was, it was kind of a weird story. When I was growing up, I was exposed to graphic design, and I was dealing with business cards and printing and things like that. And one of the things I wanted to fix was people's trucks and their business cards never looked the same. I'm like, this is so bad. Like, how bad can you be in marketing that you can't even get the same color on your truck as your business card? Now we don't even have business cards anymore, so it doesn't really matter. However, that's kind of how I got into like trying to fix everybody's, broken marketing. And I'm like, branding was so key, and I was so fascinated by Apple, and I bought like the first iPod, because like I was like, oh, this company is amazing because they get their marketing right? And so we launched as a web design company because I came from that creative background, and I'm like, oh, they don't even have a website? Of course we're gonna build everybody a website. So little by little, I think it's the passion as a kid, trying to keep everybody's color, concise and same and all of that led me to where I am today, as crazy as that sounds.
That's awesome. So today, what have you gone into, and who do you love to serve and support?
Yeah, so we like very, very challenging, marketing campaigns. So what I mean by that is when you have a business that is a long sales cycle, which means it might take 6 months to close a deal, and it's complex sales, might take multiple people, right? Like your VP of sales and your CEO and your CIO and the CTO, and all of these people have to get together and have a meeting of the minds to decide the right partner vendor. These are the kind of companies that we're working with. And what I mean by that is what they're selling is rather complex. It could be a payroll system company, but you got to get your finance department, you got to get your accounting department, you get all this CEO down, HR department to fix or find the right payroll system. So our clients are these types of high level B2B brands. They have long sales cycle and they have complex sales, and they could be selling $20,000 things or $2 million things. But the challenge is they have salespeople, and when they don't have enough leads coming through their website that are qualified, they're ready to make some sort of a decision to, have a vendor talk to them or whatnot. So our clients tend to be those businesses. But beyond that, they may not even have the metrics to measure whether their dollars that are being invested is working for them or not working for them. So when you think of these things, I think you realize, hey, there's a big market out there of underserved businesses like this that we need to work on getting and helping.
Nice. So let's talk about that audience, because I think there's some misconceptions or some myths. There's a lot of misnomers about kind of what makes good marketing. But before we get into that, I want to talk about kind of what are some of the problems that these companies are experiencing. So when they're not monetizing off their website, they're not getting the leads that they want. What kind of other things are they experiencing?
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. So there's 3 big challenges that businesses have, right? It could be they don't have enough leads coming to their website, and it's more of a symptom than a problem, meaning they don't have enough traffic to their website. So they're kind of in an obscure website world. They could be a big business, but they just don't have the right quality of traffic coming to the website. The second one is you have traffic, but they're not converting into leads. So this is a different kind of challenge. Now we're working with them on maybe optimizing, does that make sense? We're optimizing their conversions and so on. So that's the second piece. And the third piece is the people that are actually converting into leads are not becoming customers. So then you might have unqualified contacts in your system, and they're just not, they should have never been, you know what I mean? You should have never attracted that traffic. They should have never converted because your salespeople are frustrated that they're not getting any good meetings. So we fix the funnel like in 3 different ways. Number one being, hey, how do we attract the best people to your website, or quantify and qualify those people? And then let's look at, are these people the type of people we want? Meaning when they fill out a form, what's the job title? Is this the kind of people that we should be attracting? Are they championing a software like you're the one you're providing? Or what are they here? Are they an intern? Because a lot of times interns fill out a lot of forms, but they have no buying ability or power or anything, right? So then finally, is the CEO happy? Is the marketing manager happy? Are they hitting their goals? So we use a lot of CRMs and KPIs and OKRs and whatever we can to measure these 3
Any
pieces.
acronym is a good acronym.
Exactly. Well, the reason I say that is measurement becomes actually the number one piece of this whole puzzle, because most of the time they're working with hunches. Michelle,
So I'm gonna get you into this in a bit, but I want to back up the bus a little bit and just talk about what's the difference, because almost all businesses are going to have those issues, especially if they got their nephew to do their website, and it's like, okay, that's great, you have one, but
I love nephews doing websites. I think all nephews and all cousins, uncles, everybody should be in your marketing department if they can actually perform, right? Like if the numbers work. I wouldn't hire my nephew for cost. That's the challenge. I would hire my nephew for the result. Sometimes, like I said, we do it for the cost, and we actually lose more money in sales than the money that we saved by hiring a family member or a cousin or whoever it is.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of entrepreneurs that I think are losing out, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Right, because it's kind of like resorting to Canva as opposed to hiring a logo designer to build you the brand. If I really want this to be $1 billion brand, would I really want a Canva template? Or would I actually want to spend a couple of $100, even if I'm absolutely zero, I have no income, nothing. I would spend a couple $100 because I want it to be a lasting brand. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I want this to be something that's going to work. So that's my my take on it, because obviously in marketing, everybody's hiring anybody. You know, my brother is my partner. It's because of proximity. When I was trying to hire, I didn't have any clients, and I'm like, I need more help. I'm working, practically every hour. And I'm like, my brother's here. Maybe I can ask him, hey, can you help me with my invoicing and some banking? Because I don't know. And so he said yes. And we were partners like that, right? So there's nothing wrong with that as long as they're the right partner. Now, luckily, my mom gave birth to opposites. He's nothing like me. So it worked out that our partnership, he's I don't know, he's like good at sales and all that stuff, and I'm into production, and I could do the thing, and he's really good at the thing he does. So we barely butt heads when it comes to managerial stuff. Does that make sense? Absolutely. But if he was exactly like me, I think it would have been very difficult, even in a family relationship that people are talking about.
Great points. Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of it, because obviously you bring up some great points, and a lot of times if the upper management isn't involved in these decisions, certain setups don't happen when they need to. So when you're looking at the data, what do you find are some of the mistakes that businesses are making before you get onto the scene when you're looking at the KPIs and you're just not getting the data you need?
Yeah, so I think it's not the business owner's fault. As a business owner, they're just so busy. You have to realize that they're practically the visionary. They're sometimes doing fulfillment work. They might be the estimate provider, so they got to go on site or do whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? Yep. They're the trainer, because they're onboarding you. So they're kind of pulled so many different directions because they didn't really work on the who in their business, meaning who is my front end, who is my HR, who is my front, and a lot of entrepreneurs have, a lot of them don't have it. So when you look at marketing, it sort of becomes this overlooked department with barely any, it's like a bones, right? Like they have a website that they kind of put together, and that person who they hired wasn't really thinking about SEO or anything like that. They built a beautiful website. Even if they spend $100,000, it does not mean that it's an SEO optimized website, that has legs to grow. Does that make sense? Like they just sort of put together something based on whatever the requirement was. So they have this asset and that's it. Oftentimes they have somebody in marketing. That person is actually not a marketing person because they're also pulled into the trade shows and like all these other things that they randomly get asked. And so they're not really focused on driving qualified leads to the business as if that's their only job. And then they have this overlooked social media accounts that have a post every 6 months at best, or they just kind of gave up altogether, or they're posting but no engagement, there's no community being built, which is really nothing. And so you put all that together, what do you get, right? Like that's not gonna get you your Q4 results or your Q anything, right? Like that's gonna get you at best what you got right now if you just keep going. And that's not what entrepreneurs want. Entrepreneurs want 5x, 10x, they want to make $20 million if they're making $2 million. And so all of a sudden, their systems are not going to support their growth. And it's not their fault because they just don't know. But they might be really good at the thing that they do. And so customers keep coming to them. Somehow things seems to work. They think it's all working, but it's truly not built to scale. So we get in, and the first thing that we do is we plan what they should be having, kind of like an architect shows you what your house should look like. And then you say, wow, like that's what I want. I want my kitchen to look like that. Oh, I want this big patio. Oh, I want a big swimming pool. Do you know what I mean? So we do that part first before we go implement everything. Sometimes we got to throw away their CRM system. We got to throw away their website, but at least they know what it's going to be when it's all done.
So when it comes to qualified leads, what do you see is kind of the biggest issue playing out in there and your resolution to it?
So when it comes to qualified leads, I think it's the challenge is if you leave your website the way it is, and if you just put an about us content, some services content, blogs, of course, we just blogged about nonsense. It's not going to get you qualified leads. It's just not going to produce because the world does not need another blog. That's right. There's a content surplus in any industry that you look at. So what we tend to do is, what is one problem our customers are experiencing that keeps them up at night? And if it's a cash flow issues, and if that's my client solution, they do cash flow or payroll, whatever it is, then we look at what would that thing, their dream outcome might look like, and then we'll create a resource or another that person would be, they'd be like, wow, I never thought. Kind of like Steve Jobs created a product that we didn't think we needed, but we needed it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's the exact same thing. We would create something like that. And once that's done, we need traffic. That's probably when LinkedIn ads might come in, or YouTube ads or something like that. We put this carrot in front of those people, and then we look at, hey, is this driving the right kind of contacts into our system? Because at the end of the day, you can have the best resource. You might already have it, but you don't have enough eyeballs. That's what the original concept I told you. They got some contacts. They got bad traffic or bad contacts. They got some really good assets, but they just don't have the right contact. That means that it's not being seen by the right people, which is where a lot of brands struggle in. Because it's not that they don't know what they're doing, they just don't have anybody browsing that's actually qualified.
So how do you get the right people browsing?
That's a great question. So we do that through, first of all, taking a look at their contact database. Who has converted in the past? What are the things that make them? Does that make sense? What are the things that make them unique, better, whatever it is? So we take that information and we go try to find people like them when we're running ads. So that could be the job title, it could be the size of company, it could be the location, it could be past customers that you serve that are really happy with your service and they gave you a testimonial. We try to take that profile and try to go find new people. It might be through LinkedIn ads, could be YouTube, it could be the content that we create, all of that, but we are definitely running some ads to get in front of new eyeballs that never heard of you before, which is kind of how you attract people into your funnel.
All right, awesome. So when somebody's working with you, what does it look like? Do they just go, hey, we need better lead generation? Where do we start? Or do you want them to do some pre-work? What's going on?
Yeah. So, and I think it's not about working with us. It's about, are they getting the results that they want for their business, right?
Clearly
They're
not. I
getting
don't know if
results
anybody is.
Well, that's the first question. Do you agree? Like, if they're doing great, like they probably don't need anybody's help. But chances are they might not be getting the right results in some areas. Maybe lead generation, maybe it's the sales team are not happy with the quantity of leads or the quality of leads. They just don't have a system that's between the marketing department and the sales department. Maybe there's just not a good relationship. Does that make sense? Like the marketing does their own thing, but salespeople are still prospecting. Like that should not be. Why don't you guys work together? Like put your heads together and actually make something happen. Like I want a department where my marketing people are so happy to pass these leads on to them that my salespeople are ready to buy them free Starbucks and coffee and lunch. And they're like, oh my gosh, send me more of that. That's a really good team that's rolling in the right direction. So our job is to figure out where they're struggling, and then we jump in and we do some sort of an assessment. And that would be the thing that we would identify. Hey, here's our your weakest links essentially. And do you want to fix them, or do you want to just keep going? And they break at some point, and some people don't want to fix it if it's not broken. Do you remember? Like they don't. But I'm not going to be that guy because, like I said, I want preventative maintenance. I want to fix things before it blows up, and I would rather be proactive when it comes to my business rather than reactive, which is why fires ever happen and entrepreneurs have no time, and then they're spending more money than they should have spent fixing the things that didn't have to take them this much money or time.
Awesome. So give us an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
I would say that almost every single client has a story like that. It's always when you had this system that you thought was working, and then your marketing person decides to quit. And all of a sudden, guess what happens? There's a huge hole, right? Like they don't have any resources now. Their marketing stopped, their email newsletter stopped. That's because they didn't have a system. The same thing happens when maybe a salesperson left or something happened. What about some new competition that's coming into the place and they're just spending millions of dollars on advertising, or they have some venture capital money? So almost every single time it's a crisis that leads them to want to fix something. Does that make sense? Because again, everybody's like after putting out the fires. So then we would get involved, and we realized that there's so many other issues with the business, because sometimes even though that marketing person was doing such a great job, only the marketing person knew anything. The access to the website, the logins, the Google Analytics, the Search Console, the ads. Perhaps Facebook ad was in their own account using their own stuff that nobody even had access to. We uncover all these things, and obviously that's not good. We want to make sure it's a standardized operating system where they are in control and we're just the consultant making things happen, right? Like at the end of the day, everything I do, it's their property. So we want to build a system that's going to work even after I'm done doing the surgery or whatever it is that I'm supposed to do. And so, and typically we leave them showing, here's the good, bad, and the ugly. Here's how we're going to fix it and actually fix it. But now the CEO has a dashboard. They get an email every day on how many leads were generated, how many leads were followed up with, how many people are to be followed up with, right? Like what's the pipeline looking like? That's what we want at the end of the day. Does that make sense? Like that's purely when they're in control. They can see the metrics, they see the real-time dashboard. Now they can go build partnerships and venture, you know what I mean? Like joint ventures and things like that, double down on lead generation. And a month ago, they didn't even have a marketing person.
Nice. That's how I know our clients are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey?
I built a personal site because I do a lot of coaching and mentoring and things like that. It's Thimothy.com. It's my last name. That's probably the best place because I give away free content, short form, long form, everything else in between, free trainings. That would be probably the best place to get started. And if they want to learn more, obviously they can fill out a form and find out if we're the right fit. But I'm in the business of giving away as much value as I can, Michelle. That's my whole life. I want to be right. I want to be a utility for resources, because we're not going to be able to handle every client in the world. That's not the purpose. But if we can teach them and show them, give them the resources, they could be successful on their own, right? And you just need to guide them and coach them. So I obviously love doing that, and that's kind of like my passion.
Nice. So where do people go to get those?
Thimothy.com. That's Thimothy.com. It's my last name, has an H in it. But trust me, I own that domain name because of the age. Otherwise, I would not be able to own that domain name. I'm grateful for my parents for adding letters to my names. That should have never happened there, right? Like, but at the end of the day, it's a good kind of like a hub of resources, if that makes sense.
So we will, of course, have all of Solomon's links in the show notes. Go ahead and scroll down and click on the links and open up a new browser because we're not done yet. So Solomon, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you're especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
That was probably early on as well, that I don't think I was a good fit to be an employee. And I say this in the most loving way. There should be a lot of people should just be employees, and a lot of people shouldn't be employees. And I didn't know that, I like I said, I was a good employee, but I realized that there was a lot more value that I'm bringing to the table, and that in those boss and employee relationships, oftentimes, the boss is the guy that knows it all, right? Like nobody can be smarter and whatever. And then when you have a person that has a lot more ideas and strategies and everything at the table, what happens is we leave our strategies at the door. Does that make sense? Because they're not valued, Michelle. Like, oh, we don't need you to do that, Michelle. You just need you to do this. And so I'm like, no, I got all this other stuff that I want to do, and I can 10x this business. Why don't we do that and this? And I was that guy, and I was like, okay, this isn't going to work, because everywhere I would hit some kind of a glass ceiling, right? So I realized that I'm not a kid that's going to be coloring within the lines. Forget about it. And I knew that, like I said before, even during college, and I had to graduate college because I'm from India, and my parents will not let you drop out of college, just in case. You didn't know. Asian parents in general, school first, whatever else you're going to do second, right? Like they wanted me to have a real job. What I did was like, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. But, turned out to be better than being a doctor or a lawyer.
I love it. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Like I said, I think this podcast is an inspiration for those people that are looking to scale their business. And the people that you have here are absolutely amazing guests. And I think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs face is challenges. They just hit complexities after complexities. And I believe that those are the building blocks of building the business. So if there's some person here that don't have any challenges, number one, you're not pushing hard enough. If you're not pushing hard enough, you're not going to have it. It's going to be a smooth ride. But if you are having challenges, that means that you're actually trying your hardest to break through and get out of your comfort zone to go somewhere that's going to have magic. And you're probably struggling. It's because, again, you're trying to grow out of your shell. So just keep pushing. And I promise you, you're going to be so happy that you did, right? This is why podcasts like this exist, so that they can have more ideas. And like marketing was just one example. I don't know anything about finance. I don't know anything about HR. I don't know anything about legal. But there's guests that will come here. They'll help you fix those challenges in your journey.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Super awesome.
Thanks. Peeps, thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well, if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.